Today I'm here at this beautiful mountain lake in Canton of Grisons in Switzerland, and what I will try to do is just find some ducks that I can take nice pictures of. And I've actually been here around 2 years ago when I had my R5, quite new, and I saw that there was a tufted duck breeding actually here, which is not so common in Switzerland. So I thought today I would just try it again and take you with me and give you some tips and tricks and show you how I usually proceed when I try to take pictures of ducks or other waterfowl. And of course I also want to talk about the challenges that I'm facing when taking pictures of ducks, because let's face it, conditions are not always ideal, and also today there is something that might ruin my pictures. So I was just walking along the shore to find a good spot to take pictures of chicks of the tufted duck, but then I actually saw this female mallard, and a few seconds after it came out with the chicks, and it's just super cute. While they were really not shy, it was not easy to take good pictures in my opinion. I even tried with the 100 to 500, I'm a bit more flexible, but I don't like the look if they're on the paved road. And in the lake they were just exiting so quickly, and when they went back to the lake they were just swimming right into the vegetation. So unluckily this time no pictures. So before I was walking a bit around and looking for a good spot, and I think now I found one. It was actually also one of the spots I already took pictures 2 years ago. So what is a good spot? Well, of course there should be animals, ideally the target species, around. That doesn't mean they need to be there all the time, but just observe from a bit of distance and see if they start to kind of swim through there. Like there's a coots coming now, but there was a grape before, and there are some mallards with chicks, which were not really the target species of today, but they're super cute. So I want to stay here for a while and observe a bit if maybe something else is coming, because I have the feeling in general if there's like one family of ducks coming to look for food, there is also a high chance that some other birds might come. Like before there was actually a small fight between the duck family and the coot family, because often they look for similar resources, not all the time of course, but this is in general something. If I see some birds in one location, I look a bit closer if also some other maybe more interesting species will also pop up there. When taking pictures of ducks or other birds in the water, I always try to go as low as possible with my camera so that I have quite a low angle. For me this just gives a more intense look, it feels more connected with the animal, and the background also tends to be way nicer. So I needed to find a place that I could access easily. Sometimes it's not so easy and I kind of need to put my tripod in the water. Luckily here there is a place I can quite easily go down. It's not so practical to lay down here actually, so what I just did is using my beanbag. I have a link in the video description if you're interested to buy the same, and just put it on one of these rocks. Then the beanbag gives me a bit more stability, and I put the camera here either like this, or if I want to go a bit lower, even with the tripod foot facing upwards or something, and then I take pictures from here. Usually if things are happening fast, I actually go and do it like this, even if it looks super stupid. If I'm a bit more comfortable, I use my LCD flip out screen here. The problem with the flip out screen is just, for me, it takes a bit more time to locate the bird in my frame, and I feel if I look through the viewfinder, even if the position is not nice, I'm quicker. So if I see the bird from far away, I start tracking it with the flip out screen, but if it suddenly comes out from the vegetation here, as it was the case before, I am just using the viewfinder because I feel like I'm way faster. When I left, I was not really sure if I should just turn the car around because the conditions really didn't look promising. First of all, it was starting to rain, and this kind of breaks this super nice calm water, and there was also some wind, not a storm but quite some wind coming, which introduces waves, which I also don't like so much because again it breaks the water. You have these bright reflections. I was not a big fan, and there is still some wind, and a bit more outside on the lake it doesn't look so good for taking pictures. But the nice thing here is that it's a bit more protected, as you can maybe see, so the water surface is quite calm, and if I go down here I have no problem whatsoever. And that's one thing that can ruin the shot. But what I really also didn't like last time was that there was a lot of pollen or seeds, or I don't know what exactly, in the water that just looked a bit like dust. And when I was taking pictures, first of all, the animal eye autofocus was struggling a lot. Maybe it got a bit better now. It has been 2 years, so the firmware improved a bit, but I have still the feeling if there's a lot of pollen or things in the water, the camera tends to struggle a bit more. So I would just, in these situations, maybe go back to the spot autofocus or the single point autofocus. And then I was also not happy about how this kind of bright spots looked in the image. I don't know, I was really not happy, and then it got a bit darker, a bit more moody, and suddenly there was a picture, this one. I was quite happy that how it turned out, but to be honest, I'm quite glad that today the water seems quite clear. Let's talk about light, because in photography this is key to making or ruining your image. And today, as you can see, it's heavily overcast. It was raining before, and this is actually not the worst condition, because here, at least in this situation, when I go low here in the background, I just have the grass and the trees from the other side of the lake, and this gives kind of a nice background anyway. And if there's no sun, there's no strong contrast on my subject, so all the colors seem kind of smooth and nice. That being said, I would have preferred to have a bit of sun, and in the evening here in the mountains it's disappearing quite quickly behind the hills or the mountains, and then what happens is the hill on the other side of the lake might still be in the sun, so the bird is already in the shadow. I have no strong contrast, nothing, but because the bright background is reflected in the water, just the whole water seems to glow a bit and have this kind of yellowish tone. So this is what would have been my dream, but again, sometimes the weather is just not cooperating as we want, and I'm already quite happy with what I have. And one of the most amazing light conditions is, of course, like the last 20 minutes before sunset or the first 20 minutes after sunrise, when you have this really intense light. I usually prefer to shoot backlit then, and then I don't mind the pollen in the water because they make these super nice flares. But here this is not possible because, as I just said, the mountains are just too high, so the sun is just disappearing before we get this intense light. So let's focus a bit on the settings of the camera. As you can maybe see, I have my R5 here and the 600mm f4. I might throw an extender from time to time, but I had the feeling often enough the ducks were coming quite close, quite fast. So today I was not using an extender so far, and actually before I had my 100-500 next to me in case they came closer. And even there was a duck before, you can see it on this video. There was a duck coming just to this small rock here, and I tried to take my 50mm that is filming right now and take some pictures, and it was not perfect because there was like one small grass that was bit in the picture. But I like the idea, and if the ducks are coming again so close and are so curious, I think I would try it again. But yeah, usually I just have my 100-500mm next to me so that I can quickly switch. And of course on the 100-500 I have a second camera attached, which right now is not happening because it's filming me and I don't have 3 cameras. But I think you get the general idea. And I also try to keep my backpack more or less close by, just in case I need to swap out a battery, or maybe I need to clean the lens because, I don't know, I was not working properly here, and with the water there was some splashes on the front element or whatsoever. So I would just recommend this, even though in Switzerland it's not a problem that somebody steals it, but I already had the thing that I was taking pictures, and I yeah, filled up my memory card, and I actually needed to run back to my backpack, which was like 200 meters behind me, and that's super annoying. When I started with bird photography, I sometimes found it quite difficult to see what exactly I could improve in my pictures. And I thought with my YouTube channel, I want to kind of give you this possibility that I will make like a new format, like image critique or something. So if you want, you can just send me your picture by email. I will put it in the video description. And then once I have a couple of pictures, I will just do like an image critique session where I talk about each picture for like 2 or 3 minutes, talk about what I like, what I don't like, what I would have changed, both like in a camera perspective, settings, and so on. So if that's something you're interested, just send me these pictures by email. So let's have a look at the camera settings. In terms of shutter speed, there's a lot of action going on here, but the ducks are still moving through the water, they're swimming, and I feel more comfortable with 1/640th of a second or even a bit shorter, especially now there was a coot and the chick was once spreading its wings and flapping it a bit, and then it was like calling for the mother the whole time, and this was just a bit of action where I think maybe even 1,250th or 1,600th of a second would have been better. But let's face it, it's also getting darker here, so I also don't want to end up with ISO 6400 or higher if I can avoid it. And with like 800th or 1000th of a second, I still got plenty of sharp shots. It will just not be every one razor sharp. For the aperture, with the 100 to 500 I was shooting wide open anyway, and with the 600 f4 now I was also shooting wide open f4. I might stop down a tiny bit to, let's say, f5 to have a bit more depth of field, that a bit more of the body of the coot or ducks are sharp, because the background is most of the times quite soft, so I can stop down a bit there without losing too much. And yeah, finally, I already mentioned the ISO are going to increase a bit. What I just make sure here to not have too much noise is to actually already properly expose the image in the camera. This means I rather put it on 3200 ISO and have a correctly exposed image than having an underexposed image at 1600 that I need to push afterwards in post. And also I quite like to use topaz denoise for denoising the images. I'm not using it of all of the images, but if I want to have one a bit cleaner, maybe for a print or something, or just as a wallpaper on my computer, and it was shot with, let's say, 2000 ISO or higher, I quite often use denoise. You can try it for free. I put a link in the description. It's an affiliate link, so this means I would get a small provision if you buy it, but you don't pay any cent more. That's it for today. I hope you liked this small excursion and you might have learned something useful. See you next time. Bye.